everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues and the Batman universe, and today we're taking a look at a figure I have been dying to have in action figure form of any type. Now, I believe I said in the Firefly review that it was the first, one of the first few appearances of Firefly in a 6-inch figure. That's kind of wrong. The Batman cartoon TV series did have a Firefly, so he did have a 6-inch figure. But Anarchy, from everything that I could track down, this is the first appearance of any Anarchy figure in the DC Universe, Collectibles, Mattel, what have you. I've been looking all over and I have not seen an Anarchy figure, and I'm sure just as the internet works that somebody's going to go, oh Rob, wait a minute, they did make one. I believe they have not. I'll probably do some more research after this and go, I'm wrong. So if a slide appears right around here that'll say, Rob found out that Anarchy did have a figure in 1999. So I don't believe so, but this is... I will have now 3 of my favorite all-time villains in the DC Universe all together. And not only all together, but all in the same universe. So I'll bring up the other 2, and maybe you could figure out who my other 2 favorites would be. But this is Anarchy, and this was a fun part of the video game for me from... of course, this is from DC Collectibles. This is Series 2 of the Batman Arkham Origins line of figures. And the Anarchy tags were kind of like a step, an extra step forward into the Riddler trophies that you would go around and pick up. Anarchy's Anarchy symbol, the A with a circle around it, would be spray painted on the sides of buildings, and the more of those you collected, you could figure out where Anarchy was running his base of operations from, and you actually got to fight Anarchy in the video game along with his henchmen. And I would have taken Anarchy one step farther and put him in the multiplayer, because I think he would have been just this overwhelming personality and voice for the people as he was in the video game. And I've always really kind of liked that. A little bit of history of Anarchy. His real name is Lonnie McCain, or McChain, depending on how you say that. His first appearance was in Detective Comics 608, and I always contributed him to more of a Robin villain. I think once the Robin Tim Drake series got going, and we'll get to that in my Robin Everyone Loves the Drake podcast that hopefully you guys are watching. It's now on iTunes, and it's also on Windows. So if you're somebody that's like, oh, I don't have a Windows phone, or an iPod or an iPhone, and if you have a Windows smartphone or an Android, you can download it there too. But anyway, I always thought of him more as a Robin villain, and once Tim Drake got his own series, Anarchy kind of slid from a Batman villain into one of Tim Drake's main adversaries that you would see kind of throughout the whole entire series. And Anarchy is the last villain Tim Drake faces in the very final run of the Robin series before it turns into the Red Robin series. So... some of his affiliations, he was part of the Justice League of Anarchy, only makes sense. Anarchy has enormous talents both in engineering and computer technology. He was created by Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle, and the reason some of Norm Breyfogle's villains kind of became popular, and Anarchy being one of them, is that he had a hard time writing, he and Alan Grant, both writing characters like the Joker and the Penguin and the Riddler. Kind of felt that he had to follow a certain, okay, here's how you write the Joker. So to kind of avoid those stories, when the Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle run was going on, Alan Grant figured out a way, you know what, I could tell stories about writing Batman, and I could create an adversary for Batman that's his own, and he wouldn't have to follow a predetermined set of rules to fight Batman with. So not following the establishment, which is how Anarchy was the first villain that Alan Grant and Norman Breyfogle came up with as a way of kind of saying, I don't want to follow these rules. I don't want to have to use the Joker. So in a lot of their first early runs, some of their main villains were just creations for themselves, so they didn't have to be tied down to, okay, here's how the Joker has to work, here's how the Riddler has to work. Since they were their own creations and they were creating something new, they could weave and turn those characters and do whatever they wanted with him. So I really liked him for that. The background, and I'm going to read this from my strategy guide, from the Batman Arkham Origins strategy guide here. Since we already know his name as I'm trying to catch my breath, here's what I'm going to kind of read this from. It's going to be kind of hard to see on camera, but I'll read it. It's his real name unknown, but I've already read that. But in the game, we don't know it. He's a public activist. Basis of operations in Gotham City. Eyes, hair, and skin color is unknown. I believe in the comics now, in the New 52, they changed him from a white kid to an African American, which I'm okay with that. The whole idea of Anarchy is to not be seen, and you're the voice of the people. You're not the visual part for the voice people. So that's why they're kind of wearing, the mask there. Self-entitled voice of the people, I already said that. Extremist who will do anything to achieve his goals, sees corporations and governments as enemies and that must be destroyed. Growing followers among youth and the disillusioned. Anarchy wants to purge Gotham City of corruption, but his methods involve destruction. His idealism is matched with his self-importance that makes reasoning with him nearly impossible. He needs to be dealt with physically and promptly to keep the city safe. Should be approached with caution. So it kind of gives you a dossier on Anarchy. One of my favorite DC villains. And none of the big ones are in my top 3. So we'll finally get to see all 3 of them right here. But first, let's get Anarchy out of package. Everything's going to be basically the same that we've already seen before in this wave. We have Deadshot, Deathstroke, Killer Croc, of course, Anarchy, and Firefly that I've already reviewed. So these are the 2 that I picked up from this wave. I would kind of like to pick up some of the other ones, but I'm trying to save some of my money, and eventually I'll probably end up getting them, but I'm going to just kind of take it easy here, and everything else is going to basically read the same. So we'll get Anarchy out of package, and I'm so excited to finally have an Anarchy figure. And I can tell you right away, he looks really great in package, and he's going to be featured right in the front of my Arkham City display. So I know this video is probably going to run a little long. I'm going to apologize about that right now, but this is one of my favorites. So we'll be right back in just a second. All right, wow, I love this figure. Something that Chapman Films asks a lot of us as we're reviewing our action figures and doing different things. He'll always say, like, hey, what's this smell like? Anarchy smells bad. I think it's because of the rubber that they used. It just has this weird pungent odor. I can't remember if ODC made any mention of Anarchy smelling, but this guy does smell. But boy, is he a great looking figure. It's beautiful to look at. I already love his figure. This is going to be one of my favorites for the year. Hands down, right now, probably my favorite figure from the Batman Arkham Origins collection. Batman being, I think Batman is probably first, and Anarchy is a second in my book. He has some surprises in here as far as articulation that I did not see coming, as some other figures from previous waves had very little articulation. Anarchy is right up there with Batman in some of the articulation. So I want to make note, he's got this little Molotov cocktail. You really have to get it positioned in his hand just right. And it's it's a neat little accessory. We get a little extra light here. Bear with me for 1 second. So you can kind of see it's just this clear plastic piece, and you can kind of see a little bit of the gasoline or whatever the accelerant may be, as it's already kind of lit and on fire here. So this is something I'm definitely going to try to pose him with, but kind of how I have his hand, he really has to kind of rest on it. You got to turn this flame just right to get, the center of gravity. But a nice little accessory, and something that they used in the video game when you actually get to the point where you got to fight. Anyway, on to the review. This guy is... I really like this figure. I think he's just sculpted beautifully. The detail is very good all the way through this figure. Get some extra light here so you can see our subject. I like the backpack. You can make out the safety pins back here. It's a nice touch. Let's get a little closer on here. See his skull that's present on the video game the few times that you see him, you know, turn around. But just the detailing work and the texture that's in the coat, the A. I'm glad that they left him red. Even though he was in the Beware the Batman, they made him white. I'm not a real fan of him being white, but there's his fist, or power to the people, voice of the people, little logo. And then his boots there. No peg hole. There's one peg hole. There it is. Had it off frame there. So it'd be kind of cool if they would have put stands with these. I know some of us could have some stands, but just painted very, very well. The face, I like it. The kind of non-descriptive face. There's not a whole lot of emotion put into the mask, as the mask should be, but I think it says enough, and just the black for the eyes there. Now, this hood is very removable. Does slip back and kind of see his head there. Now, Anthony was talking about it, been kind of cool if you could have pulled off the face, if I had him off camera here, pulled off the white part of the face, you could see it. But we really don't see him in the game at all without the mask off. But they are going with the, I would say he's white. Looks a little bit darker skin toned, a little bit. And like I said, the New 52, he's African American, so can't keep him in frame here, but just really good. And this is a nice soft rubber. I wish they would have used this type of hood for the Tim Drake Robin from the Arkham City wave, but he has full range of motion. The hood is not getting in the way at all. Could just kind of peel it back and get him in any type of pose you want. Put that back there a little bit. So you get a great range of motion out of the head. It's on a very nice ball joint, very much on how Batman's is, so he can look down pretty good. Get the head back, look up, tilt side to side. So a very animated head on Anarchy. And I love this figure. I'm probably going to be gushing all over it. Let's back the camera up a little bit so we can see some of the articulation here. Put the lighting back out a little bit. Bear with me just one moment. So this is where I thought, okay, he's going to be kind of like Black Mask or Hush or, you know, the Riddler. He's going to have some articulation that you don't see anything, any of the cuts in here. So I thought the arms are going to be straight up and down, and that would be about it. But the arm is this rubber, just like this hood is. The jacket is the same way. Not so much here, but in the shoulders. So you get a great amount of rotation and articulation. So it's hard to see where it is. He's on a ball and socket. Kind of hard to tell. Maybe the arms only go forward and back. Maybe that's all that it is. I thought they went out. You can't see it, so I'm just assuming that's where it is. It's probably just full 360, and it's a little tight going up around this part of the jacket, but they do move. There is a bicep swivel and a bend at the elbow. And I don't believe... There is a rotation here somewhere, probably at the elbow. And it looks like the hand rotates too. This one hand does. This one, yeah, this one does too. So it's really kind of hidden. So as I was moving him around, I found a couple here off camera. There's no. Yep, sorry. Well, I was wrong. See, there's one too. He does turn at the waist, which is really, really cool. Surprising and fresh that he does. No. Ab crunch, which I'm fine with that. You'd be breaking up all of this and the rubber part of the backpack, which feels like it could have come off. I don't believe it's meant to. Yeah, it's fastened on the back, but the straps have this feel like it could come off with it, which I think just adds to the overall character. I'm noticing some pins here on his jacket. Let's see if we can zoom into those. So a smiley face, an Anarchy, and then I don't know if that's supposed to be his symbol there, the 3 points. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but just another part of detail that DC Collectibles likes to put into their figures. Legs, let's see. Oh, they go out a little bit. Actually, this one goes out quite a bit, so we can do the splits coming out here. And there is a rotation, so he's got, wow. He's getting all kinds of articulation. I'm really kind of getting him out of a frame here. My light source is not cooperating with me. So, wow, that's, I'm really impressed here. He has a double jointed knee, which is really surprising for the DC Collectibles, just being that he's a side mission character and they gave him all kinds of articulation. So kudos to DC Collectibles. And he's got a swivel at the boot. What is that all about? So Anarchy is winning all kinds of articulation awards. So I am extremely, extremely impressed with this figure. Not only am I a huge fan of the Anarchy character as a whole, but this is just a great looking figure. If you're any type of a Batman fan or even a casual fan, you want to pick up... I've always said that a Batman D-list character is sometimes better than an A-list character, villain-wise, of another hero. So the Rogues Gallery for Batman is just so deep that sometimes even the D-list characters seem like A-listers because they're just done and written so very well. I would really like to see Anarchy make some big strides of a New 52, but I was very happy with his involvement in Arkham Origins, and he is going to be right up in the very front of my collection for my Arkham universe. So let's bring up a couple figures to compare him with. First and foremost, let's bring up Batman. Wow, these two look really, really good together. I think arguably the two best figures so far from this line. The sculpting on all the figures has just been exceptional, but sculpting and articulation and just the things that come with them is just done very, very well. So I believe Anarchy is about 5'11", Batman's about 6 foot tall. Anarchy's a youth, probably in his 20s. Looks like he's kind of getting ready to lean back there just a little bit. So this table's not exactly level here. He'll do better standing up front. So what we're going to do, if we can get Anarchy to stand, there he goes. We'll bring up a couple others figures here to look at, and we'll look at actually my top 3 favorite villains that are all in this Arkham universe. You ready? Here we go. All right, here are my 3 favorite DC villains of all time. I know my list has kind of changed here as I've kind of gone through my channel, and I've been doing them by action figures. I would say, well, this is actually my favorite, but I don't have a action figure. Never really thought we were going to get one. So this is actually my top 3 favorite DC villains. Mr. Freeze would come in at 4. 3 would be Hush. 2 would be Black Mask. And 1 would be Anarchy. I like the Anarchy character that much. And before I really knew him as a Batman's Rogues person, I always thought of him as a Tim Drake villain. So being Robin's my favorite hero, I would kind of see Anarchy pop up until I started, going back and through reading some back issues. So it was really cool to see that Anarchy was making it into Arkham Origins, and I thought, oh, it'd be really cool if we finally get an Anarchy figure, and we do. So I wanted to be able to see him up here with the 2 of my other favorite DC villains, and I could not be happier with this figure. I definitely think this is a must-have for any Batman fan, and he would fit in well just with any of your Batman figures. He's roughly right around the same height as probably Batman if you're looking for DC UC, but you know, you could probably slip him back just a little bit on your shelf since the Mattel figures are a little bit smaller. But I would suggest, you know, maybe you go get this guy and he will look even cooler. So today we've been taking a look at Anarchy from the Batman Arkham Origins Series 2. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues signing off, saying we will see you guys next time.